All right, 7:51 here, Big 550 KTRS. We're going to check in with Aaron Katersky, who's covering this news this morning of the Israel-Gaza conflict. We've got Aaron Katersky. Aaron, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
McGraw, it's a pleasure. In the last few minutes, the ceasefire that was supposed to start collapsed, so it never really got off the ground as Israel resumed its bombardment of targets in Gaza after what it says were hours of indiscriminate rocket fire when this de-escalation period was supposed to lead to some kind of negotiations.
So take us back a second. We woke up this morning saying there was a ceasefire, then we heard you this morning saying it looked like it was falling apart, and now it's totally fallen apart. Is that correct?
It seems so. The ceasefire was put forth by Egypt after it negotiated with Israel. The Hamas militants say they were never really part of the equation at the outset, that they weren't consulted. So they said the truce wasn't worth the ink it was written on. The rockets continued. Israel held its fire for a period of hours, but then within the last half hour or so, Prime Minister Netanyahu ordered the airstrikes to resume, and they have.
Do we have any idea how many rockets, how many airstrikes? Do we have any idea, to put it into sort of perspective, what we're talking about in terms of the bombs that are dropping?
There have been now more than 1,500 targets that Israel has struck inside Gaza, and probably just over 1,000 rockets that have been fired into Israel over the last 8 days or so.
So we're talking. I mean, we're talking massive airstrikes here.
Oh yeah, this has been a true bombardment, and it has come at quite a cost for Palestinians. 200 of them have been killed. The UN says most have been civilians. Israel has accused Hamas of using civilians as human shields, something Hamas denies. Be that as it may, when you have such incredible firepower bearing down on a place the size of Detroit, packed in with 2 million Palestinians, there are going to be some significant civilian casualties.
And this all stems from those 3 teenagers that were kidnapped, correct?
Well, it does in part. Certainly that was a spark. The deaths of the 3 Israeli teens sparked outrage, and then a revenge killing, which 3 Israelis have now pleaded guilty to, admitted that they sought out someone in East Jerusalem and in the Arab Quarter to kill and as revenge. But before that, Israel had been meddling in some of the Palestinians' internal affairs, and the peace talks that Secretary of State John Kerry tried to broker fell apart. And there had been this issue of a blockade around Gaza that Hamas wanted lifted. I mean, this has been simmering for a long time, but certainly the killing of the Israeli teens was a big part of it.
Yeah, you mentioned the deaths on the Gaza side. Any deaths on the Israeli side?
No deaths on the Israeli side, in large part because of the Iron Dome missile defense system. But what Hamas has succeeded in doing is instilling fear. You don't need to kill anyone in order to instill fear, and Israelis have been running for shelter and safe rooms repeatedly for the last 8 days.
Talk about that Iron Dome. I mean, we've all heard of those Patriot missiles, and we've heard of Star Wars. Is that something along those lines?
Similar, yeah. It's a battery that sits in an open area, and the missiles lock on to incoming rockets. You can watch it if it's against a night sky. It launches. You can see it tracking, and then there's a series of booms in the sky depending on how many incoming rockets it has to take out, and that's been the signal for the all clear.
Wow. Aaron Katersky, thanks for checking in. Be safe, and we'll talk to you down the road.
Okay, thanks.
Aaron Katersky, live from New York, having the latest on what's going on. Live in Jerusalem. I apologize. Live in Jerusalem, Aaron Katersky dealing with the Israel-Gaza crisis, getting it straight from the region. Coming up next.